right, so what are some of the reasons that you might be tracking reference data? Clarity and understanding the definition. So how to, you want to better understand the terminology, and to do that, you need to track that with to understand what the code values are, either at a logical or contextual fashion or at a specific data system. You might be tracking these for valid values. So you might have some real data quality issues with, data conversions or old legacy data, or kind of free-formed, unstructured data where you've got values out there that don't conform to the standards. If you're doing integration or aggregation in a warehouse, or mapping between systems, figuring out how understanding the codes in both systems and how they map together is an important task. A lot of the times, if you're building reports, if you're building extracts, if you're building integrations, if you're coding processes to do anything, understanding how you do selects or filters or conditionals, most of the time when you do that, you might not realize it, but you're pulling into the things like understanding the various code values or statuses and things of that system. So understanding what those are, and also understanding whether or not they can change and how they change and what the impact of that change is. It is if you're writing a code that kind of a buried underlying process that selects a certain amount of records and moves it over somewhere else, and it's selecting them if it has a status of A, B, or C, and then someone comes along and adds a code D, and you've coded the thing with explicit references to those values, your process is going to break until you fix that. This is where the type thing comes into play. So maybe A, B, and C are all fall in a category of one, and if rather than explicitly tying it to those codes, you're looking at what kind of category it is. Like, there's things that you can do, but you're not going to be able to do any of that unless you really understand what those code values are and what they mean and how they're used. Then, if you're trying to manage your inventory and understanding the relationships between parent and child and what you have, that's another thing to track. All right, so hopefully that helps you think about like which ones of these are important to you. Can help you decide where you're going to put your energy in documenting and managing your things. Now, you notice I didn't kind of outline that the number one reason here is to understand like what are all my tables, what are all my foreign keys in my data system, and what do they map to, like just in general. Like that's not, that doesn't have as much impact as these reasons. So